So one of my students actually sent in this question a little while ago, and this is one of those A-star students that I was talking about. And this is about probability distributions, which is technically a Year 12 topic, but it does come up quite a bit in Year 13, as in the actual final exam. And a lot of students have trouble with them, and I don't blame them. In the textbook, they give you really, really easy examples. Then you get exam questions like this, which are extremely difficult. So if we're aiming for those A stars, and again this is part of the ALevelMaths Mastery series, then we definitely need to be able to do questions like this. Hopefully I'll be able to break this down and show you where you can at least gain most of the marks, if not all of them. But yeah, we'll jump straight into it. But before we get started, once again, if you've ever found any of these videos useful, do consider subscribing just to help me out. And of course, if you need tuition or anything like that, there's my website and my email in the description. But let's get started with this. Now, first of all, it wouldn't be an A-level maths question, or at least an applied question, if there wasn't an entire paragraph that you have to read. But here's the rundown. This person's playing a game using a ball, cup, and a spinner. And the idea is that when she throws the ball, if she gets it into the cup, she also spins the spinner in order to get her score. It's a very weird game. I have no idea how it works, but whatever. So the variable x is the spinner, okay? So I would probably, in the exam, label this as, here's my spinner stuff, okay? A, B, C, and D are probabilities that we don't know, so you can probably guess what the question's going to be. But to play the game, you spin the spinner to get a value of x, so either 20, 50, 80, and 100, a very weird spinner. And that gives you a probability. You then stand that distance from the cup and throw the ball into the cup. Fantastic, right? And the event S represents the event that TISM successfully throws the ball into the cup. So, again, the idea of winning here is after you've spun the spinner, you stand that distance away from the cup, then you have to throw the ball into the cup, and we've got the probability that she actually succeeds, right? The probability that she gets the ball into the cup, given that she scored whatever on the spinner, like she spun whatever number that is. So for example, x could be 20, 50, 80, or 100. Now, this probability does make sense. If you look at it, k is a constant and it divides by the distance she stands away from the cup. As you can imagine, the further away you stand from the cup, the lower your probability, which is exactly what this is saying here. The probability that she gets the ball into the cup is equal to some constant divided by the distance. So the further away she stands, the lower the probability. So if she's 20 away, that'd be k divided by 20. But if she's 100 away, that's k divided by 100. It's a smaller probability. That makes complete sense to me. And again, going through this, when you're reading a question, you're not just reading it passively. You are trying to make sense of the situation. So what I just did there is exactly what I'd do in the exam. Try and understand what this calculation, what this equation is telling me. Then it says the probability of S and this happening should be the same whatever value of x is applied from the spinner. Is obtained from the spinner. So the probability that she gets the ball into the cup and she gets whatever probability or whatever distance from the cup she stands should be the same. Again, this is a model, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But using the model, show that c equals 8 over 5b. Now, I've often said to a lot of my students that I have no idea how to finish questions. And this is true. Because maths is not about knowing exactly what to do for every step. It's to take it step by step. So what would I do in this case? Well, given that it's probability, there's a few things that I can write down. The first thing is that all of these probabilities added up should give me 1. So A plus B plus C plus D equals 1. Now, it's telling me to show that C is equal to 8/5 of B. I can't really use this equation for that because there's A, there's B, there's C, and there's D. So that isn't useful yet, but I'm willing to bet money that we'll use it at some point. So this was still a useful step to do. So what else have they told me? Well, they've told me that this should be the same whatever value of x is obtained from the spinner. So given that we want B and we want C, because we want an equation with B and C in it, what if I work out the probability of getting B and of getting C and also getting it into the cup? So hopefully that kind of makes a little bit of sense as to what I'm saying. Now, the probability of S and getting that value should be the same whatever value of x is obtained from the spinner. Okay. So in other words, if I start with B, the probability of getting S and X equaling 50. Why 50? Because again, we're looking for B at the beginning, right? That should equal B, the probability of actually getting 50 on the spinner, times K over X, because that's the probability that she actually gets the ball into the cup after she's gotten that probability, after she's gotten that value of X. So that's times by K over 50. So hopefully that logically makes sense, right? Don't forget, when you see and in probability, it means multiply. So we've got the probability of X equaling 50, which is B, and S. So we have to times by the probability of getting S. The probability of getting the ball in, given that the distance is whatever, is K over 50. Now we're going to repeat the process for C. So S and X equaling 80 this time. And we get C times K over 80. Now what does the rest of that sentence say? It says it should be the same. In other words, these two probabilities should be the same. So let's write that out. We have B times K over 50 equals C times K over 80. And you might be able to see where we're going to go next. I can cancel K from both sides. And then I'm just going to times both sides by 80. Because that gives me B times 80 over 50 equals C. Again, we can cancel that down. So in other words, C is 8/5 of B. How fun, right? The next thing it says is find the probability distribution of X. So in other words, we need to find what A, B, C, and D are. Now, this is going to seem like a very long process, but once you get one value, the rest of the values come very trivially. But if I take this and I substitute it into this original equation we have, because remember, we now want an equation with A, B, C, and D in it. If I take this expression, well, actually it's an equation, but whatever, or an identity, sub it into here, what do I get? Well, I'm going to write this in red for part B. We get A plus B plus 8 over 5B plus D equals 1. Can you see the hint they've given you in the question now? Part A is a hint for part B. Because what we've done is we've effectively removed one of the variables. So instead of having A, B, C, and D, we only have A, B, and D. So what if we repeated the process for A and D to get everything in terms of B? And if everything's in terms of B, when we know what B is, we can sub it in to find everything else. Because we know that C is 8/5 of B. And we'll know that A is something to do with B and D is something to do with B as well. So just in preparation, I'm going to open up my calculator because I don't want to work out fractions. So we're going to repeat the exact same process. Well, first of all, I'm actually going to simplify this. So B plus 8 over 5B, if you use a calculator, should give you 13 over 5B plus D equals 1. And I'm going to do the same thing I did here, but I'm going to work it out for A and for D. So let's start with A first. The probability of S and X equaling 20 is equal to A times K over 20. And again, that should be equal to B. So let's work that out. We have K over 20 A equals K over 50 B. Once again, we can cancel the K's and we're going to times both sides by 20. So A is going to be 20 over 50B. In other words, it's 2/5 of B. We can sub this back into here. I'm going to do that later once I've actually worked out D as well, just to do everything in one step so I don't repeat myself. Do the exact same thing for D. Probability of S and X equaling 100 is equal to D times K over 100. And once again, that should be equal to B times K over 50. So K over 100D equals K over 50B. So again, we can cancel the K's. I'm going to times both sides by 100, and hopefully you can see that D is just equal to 2B. I'm going to put that back into here as well. So honestly, spotting to do that is the hard bit, but now it's just linear algebra. This is an equation that year 7s and 8s can solve. It's not too bad. But yeah, anyways, after we've subbed that in, we have A is equal to 2/5 of B. So we're going to have 2/5 of B plus 13/5 of B plus 2B equals 1. So 2/5 plus 13 over 5, that's 15 over 5, so that's 3B. Plus 2B is 5B equals 1. And all of that to get B is equal to 0.2. Now we know that, we can work out D, we can work out A, and we can work out C. Wonderful. Yeah, fantastic, right? So let's do it. So we've worked out what B is. That means D is going to equal twice of B, so it's equal to 0.4. So those two are done. A is equal to 2/5 of B, which would be, I'm pretty sure I know, but I'm 0.08, right? 0.08. And finally, C, I don't really, actually no, I do have another colour. That's 8/5 of B, so let's do 8 over 5 multiplied by 0.2, 0.32. And that's your probability distribution. And if you notice, these four numbers add up to 1 because it's a probability distribution. And that's it for part B. That is quite intense, I have to admit. But hopefully you can see where you're meant to go with that. Again, the actual number work, the actual algebra, the math is not too bad, but it's knowing what to do. Part C is another question which is not easy whatsoever. So Nav tries a large number of times to throw the ball into the cup from a distance of 100 centimetres. He successfully gets the ball in the cup 30% of the time. State giving a reason why TISM's model of this game is not suitable to describe Nav playing for all values of x. So 100 centimetres, by the way, is just this distance here, so it's D. So we could work out the probability of getting D, which is essentially what we have to do, by the way. And yeah, so we'll start with that. So they've said that the probability that Nav gets the ball in, given it's 100, is equal to 0.3. If we use this definition, which we had back, let's not say back in the day, back here, there, it should be D times K over 100. So we have D times K over 100 equals 0.3. Now I know that D is equal to 0.4, so let's do that. We have 0.4 times K over 100 equals 0.3. Times both sides by 100, we get 0.4K equals 30. K is equal to 30 over 0.4, which, I'm not sure actually. Let's have a look. I'm aware that I can do the maths. That gives us 75. Now that in and of itself isn't illegal. It's not illegal at all. But if K equals 75, bearing in mind they've told me it's not suitable, so there's something wrong with this answer, but I have to figure out what it is. So how do I do that? Well, if I assume K is 75 and I use this equation here, we have K over X. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for all of these if K over X works. Well, K over 100 gives me 0.75. That's a legitimate probability. 80 over 75. 50 over 75. Sorry, 75 over 80 also gives me a number less than 1, so that's legit. But have a look what happens when X is smaller than K. Well, then my probability is bigger than 1, which can't work. So if this is true, then X cannot be 20 or 50, because otherwise we're going to get a probability bigger than 1. So when X equals 50, then our probability becomes 75K over X, which is 50, which is bigger than 1, which is not possible. And this is also true when X is equal to 20, which is also bigger than 1, which again is not possible. In fact, the only values of X that you can have is X has to be bigger than or technically equal to 75 for the model to work. Because again, the probability is bigger than 1. Now, the most common thing I get asked when I go through this is, but that's only 1 mark. Now, here's the thing. In mark schemes, they do just give you the answer. They just say, oh, well, because the probability is unrealistic. In fact, the mark scheme for this says k is 75, therefore not valid for x is 50 and x is 20. That's a 1 mark answer. The reason why I've gone through it in this exact way is to show you what they mean. And this is the type of thing you need to test. If it's a probability distribution, what things can go wrong? Well, if you get a negative probability, it's wrong. If you get a probability bigger than 1, it's wrong. If the numbers or the probabilities add up to a number bigger than 1, it's wrong. These are things you need to think about. Is what would make this break? It will break if a probability is bigger than 1 or less than 0. In this case, we got ones that are bigger than 1. So, sorry, I had to sneeze there. But hopefully that makes a bit more sense when you come across questions like this. The number one skill you need to have for probability distributions is being able to interpret what this means. So what I did at the beginning of this video when I explained what this means, that's what you need to get good at. Otherwise, the probability questions are going to be extremely hard for you. But anyways, if you do want to see more of these kind of aiming for A star or A questions, I do have like about 400 billion of them. So I'm more than happy to do more and more for all sorts of topics. But let me know what topics you want in the comments, and also if you even want more A or A star level content. Without further ado, I'll let you get on with your revision. Have a great day.